Is Ableton messing with your chords? You may not be aware of a harmony that's been added to a lot of presets in Ableton. But if you're trying to play simple triads and build chord progressions in Ableton, you may be getting more than you bargained for. I'm talking about a pretty significant number of presets in Ableton that have an added fifth interval included by default in the preset. Sometimes this is labeled as such, as in these examples in the pad category. Here we have fifths detuned pad. We can hear right away. Bum, 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 bum. And sometimes it's very subtle. We also have additional presets in here that are adding a fifth and they're not labeled as such. So for example, if we go into synth lead here, we have something called basic glide lead. Sounds like a fifth, bum, bum. So if we look under the hood at this basic glide lead, I'm going to use my show hide devices button here. And I don't see anything right away. I see 0 steps. And I'm looking here. Oh, semi 7 steps. So what that means is if we think in terms of scale degrees, 7 chromatic steps is going to be a fifth. Spoiler alert, if we want to fix this, all we have to do is double click and put that back to 0. But I don't get it. What's the problem? How can a perfect fifth mess up our harmonies? Well, the perfect tag is a little bit misleading, and actually I'm going to demonstrate how this well-intentioned treat that Ableton is giving us may turn out to be more of a dastardly trick that it's randomly dropping on our doorstep. Okay, so I've started here with a bunch of triads in C major. Very basic stuff here. C, D minor, E, G, B, E minor. All good. What's going to happen when we add a fifth to each of these original notes? So the way that I'm going to demonstrate this is I've grabbed a chord device here, which has a shift of +7 semitones. That's our perfect fifth. And what I'm going to do is resample this on track 2. My input has track 1 output, and that's armed to record. Let's go. Okay, let's analyze our chords now with the fifth added on top of each original note. So we have some notes here that are going to be redundant, like our G. That's not added, that's just goes over top of the original notes. But we did add a B, so that's going to give us a 7th, a major 7th, and a D, that's going to give us a 9th. So we have a nice C major 9 here as our first chord. And then our next chord is going to be D, F, A. We're adding C, and we're adding E. So that's giving us a D minor 9. Nice, also very nice. Next chord, same thing, E minor 9, except that 9 is actually an F sharp. That's not in our key of C. What's the problem? Well, this should actually be E minor flat 9 in order to stay in the key of C major. But instead, we have that F sharp, which makes this a borrowed chord. Borrowed chords can be great, but again, I don't need Ableton dosing me with borrowed chords without my consent. As we go through all these other previously diatonic chords, we're going to get plenty of surprises here, and they can definitely feel like a dookie in your punch bowl. The worst is this chord here that used to be a B diminished. So we start with B, D, F, and then we add F sharp, D, and C. If you don't know what chord that is, neither did I. I looked it up, and apparently this is a D13 add minor third. Thanks a lot, Ableton.